Happy new month as we're getting ready for Star Radio UK. Happy new month. Happy new month to everyone. Mokiboboa, as we are getting ready for Star Radio UK, the morning show. Mokibobo, Awati, Awani, Ile, and Awatan Benita, Aku Baradi. oṣù tó máa lárinrin, oṣù tó máa fún wa ní ìntànfẹ́ àti wà ní oṣù kan nú ẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tó ń doubt inú oṣù náà la máa mọ gbogbo ẹ̀. Ní sọ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, àgbọ̀nràn là ń sọ fọ́mọlúàbí, bá dé máa dodindi, kálukú máa lọ múra sílẹ̀. Kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ọkàn yín balẹ̀ pé inú ìyà tá wà, òyìnbó kan kò ní lá ìjà tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí. Ẹni bá rò pé òyìnbó kan máa wá la ìjà tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí, ìbẹ̀lẹ̀ máa jókòó sí forever. Àwa ti mọ̀ pé òyìnbó lè la ìjà tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí, because àwọn gan ló kó wa sínú wàhálà tá wà nínú ẹ̀, and they are not going to settle the fight. Àwa la máa lára wa. Bàbá olówó dẹ̀ ti sọ pé lásìkò bá ti tó, olúkálùkù máa mọ bó ṣe ń lọ. Àwọn èèyàn kúkú mọ bó ṣe ń lọ tẹ́lẹ̀. We all just live in denial. Kálukú ń parọ́ fún rẹ̀. Máa parọ́ fúnra yín. Everybody knows that Nigeria is not going to work. Ti ṣàlàyé fún yín in the last 3 years. So kò sí nǹkan kan tá tó fẹ́ sọ ju olúkálùkù lágbára dì. Ó ń bọ̀. Máa dé bá gbogbo aláyàtọ̀ àlàáfíà ni.
I mean, but what they are thinking in their heads is worse off than what they are even actually saying to you. So do you get offended when people say those things to you? I don't know. But I love you. I remember somebody asking me, where do you come from? Then I say, I come from this particular part of London. And so, no. Where do you originally come from? Then I say, I come from Ghana. And then they say, oh, okay. Now, was it a week ago? I'm doing this. Welcome. And my neighbor said, wow, your people did very well. Yeah. And I was like, because I didn't watch the match, I was busy doing all sorts. Then he said, Ghana, yeah. I said, yeah. They did very well. I was so busy, I didn't watch it. So, people try to, they know that you are British, but they know that their skin color, you don't come from this part of the world. So do you feel offended by that? I want to know your take about it. Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's enjoy this song, and then we will be back with you. Court orders arrest, imprisonment of army chief as well. That is from Nigeria. Enjoy this song and I'll be with you. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
I'll darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn nísìnyí in just about a few minutes. Say good morning to those of you that have joined. Everybody mọ̀ fún Nàìjíríà ṣiṣẹ́ o. Àwa Yorùbá nation lọ́wọ́ fi pínlẹ̀ lé lórí. Orí yín ti gbálẹ̀. Ṣé mi mo bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́? Ṣáwa la bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́? Àwọn tó bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́ ní lọ làgò mọ́ wọn lórí. Àwọn tó bà ayé yín jẹ́ tí a fi ń jẹ gbogbo wa, tí gbogbo wa ń sáré káàkiri bí ẹ̀ṣọ́ níwòlé mọ́. Ní lọ bá àwọn yẹn. Àwa tá à ń mú option tó máa ràn wá lọ́rùn. Àwa yẹn gan lẹ́wọ̀n máa lẹ̀ dímọ́. Àwọn tó ń ba ayé yín jẹ́ nílé, tó ń ṣe títì tí kò ṣiṣẹ́, tí wọ́n jẹ́ kí ayé yín kó nítumọ̀. Ní lọ bá àwọn yẹn. 2023, journalists seek provision of adequate security. Níbo ló ti fẹ́ rí security náà? Àwa tá à ń sọ pé alternative, àwọn yẹn gan ni problem yẹn àbí? Mad people all over the place. Àwọn tó ti bà ayé yín jẹ́ láti gbogbo àwọn politicians yín tó ń jójó ẹlẹ́yà, tó ń kówó jẹ, tó jẹ́ kí economy Nàìjíríà ṣiṣẹ́ látijọ́ tí APC ti dé nísìn. Ṣé economy yín ṣiṣẹ́? Ẹ ti mọ̀ bó ṣe ń ṣe yín. Wọ́n ní ìlú tó lépo. Epo náà lè rírà nísìn. Lẹ́ẹ̀rà ní 400, lẹ́ẹ̀rà ní 300, lẹ́ẹ̀rà ní 500, lẹ́ẹ̀rà ní black market. Ṣé èmi ni mò ń ta epo fún yín ní black market? Ẹ bá yẹ lọ làgò mọ́ wọn lórí. Kò tí ì já yín jẹ dáadáa. Tó bá já yín jẹ, ẹ mọ̀ pé ìdàgbédání òun lè máa support òun lásán nísìn aṣọ tuntun tó ń cry aṣọ decry Buhari treatment on lecturers ìyẹn náà ni British ń fún yín ní student visa ìkàrà kàwé labroad ibi tó bá kàwé tán wàá lò 30 years labroad ò ní padà lọ́lé àbí ò lọ bèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn parents wa tó ti dé bíbáyìí láti 30 years ago gbogbo wọn ló ti sún nísìn à ń bọ̀ London à ń bọ̀ London. Fuel kills. NNPC say 2 billion liters of petroleum in stock. Irọ́ ló bá dé. Ló ti wà in stock. Liar country. Pàrọ̀ fọmọdé, pàrọ̀ fàgbàlagbà. Nothing. Kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ nílùú yẹn. Wọ́n sọ fún yín pé nǹkan kan ń ṣiṣẹ́. Tó bá lọ believe it, you're on your own. Nigeria is going to work. But nobody can tell you when. Ṣé ó dìgbà tí gbogbo wa bá lọ padà sí ibi tí Elédùmarè ti dá wa wá ṣé ìgbà ìlú Nàìjíríà máa ṣiṣẹ́? Àníkẹ́tẹ̀ jáyé díẹ̀ mò ń wo Finland lánàá gbogbo elevator tó ń ṣe lágbàáyé Finland wà lára ìlú kan tó mú wa ẹ lọ population Finland láàárọ̀ yìí nísìn a máa sọ̀rọ̀ a máa sọ nǹkan àwọn èèyàn máa sọ jágbajàgba a máa wí he wá máa wí sí gbogbo population Finland kò ju 5.5 million lọ. Mad people all over the place. Àwa tá à ń mú alternative wa àwa ilẹ̀ ńlẹ́dìmọ̀ gbogbo wa lájọ máa jẹ breakfast tó ń bọ̀ ìbíyàn kan lọ jí gbé lánàá nísìn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú VON wọ́n bá ti jí yín gbé ẹ̀ nílé pariwo síta ẹ rò pé lè hide ẹni tó bá jí gbé a máa dárúkọ ẹ̀ ẹni tó bá ti jí gbé kódà bọ́ jẹ́ anybody gbénu yín a máa dárúkọ yín torí lára yín tẹ́ ń ba Nàìjíríà jẹ́ tẹ́ sọ pé Nàìjíríà ń ṣiṣẹ́ náà nìyẹn finance kìíní kan ní bọ̀bọ̀ náà ẹ̀kọ́ tó jí yín gbé èèyàn wá láti Amẹ́ríkà tí wá invest ẹ padà pa náà ni ẹ wá ní kí diaspora wá kó owó wàhálà táwa ti ṣe níta ká wá invest nínú Nàìjíríà ò ṣe o Nàìjíríà wá jẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ni ẹni studio jàre ń dúró dé mi Nàìjíríà wá jẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ come and invest in Nigeria ò lè ṣe míyàn bá tẹ̀ máa nílò tó fi invest Nàìjíríà ni a máa wá invest owó ẹ̀sìn ṣé nínú gbogbo ìlú lágbàáyé Nàìjíríà ni ìyàn wá kówó tó ṣiṣẹ́ tó làágùn ṣówó abroad wá easy láti make ìyàn wá kó gbogbo owó yẹn wá kó wá sí Nàìjíríà pẹ̀lú bá lágímọ́ lórí wicked country nothing is working sílùú àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n ní kẹ́ máa lọ ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì kẹ́ lọ mọ́ṣáláṣí pààrọ̀ fún olúkálùkù ń lọ.
Creation on God's way. Do you want to be part of it? Make sure you make your way straight to the Wood of Life Church, 72A Mainswood Road, London, SE12 9RP. Nearest station, Groove Park. RSVP Pauline on 0203-223-0800. Make sure you make a date and then you will get your hand on that book. And this time, we all want to be rich, don't you? I really want to be rich, you know. That when we come on the platform, I can have all the fans to support all the causes. You know, yes, all the causes. There are a lot of causes here that we want to be supporting. Well, those who are fighting for them to be, to break away. And everybody needs some financial muscle to do so. So why don't you get your hands on that book? I will tell you more about that in a moment. But for now, it is Starr Radio UK. We're going to be going straight to our North London studios where we have the one and only, still the reigning champion and the white lion himself, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who has joined us this morning. And let me say, massive good morning to you, Yomi.
A very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers. Good morning to Frank. Good morning to all our presenters. Good morning to all the sound engineer. And good morning to the friends and family of Starr Radio UK. And welcome once again to the first day of the month in December, Thursday, where we go into some of the updates from Nigeria this morning.
Yes. How are you doing and how is the family?
The family is doing very well, and I'm doing so much as strong, getting ready for all the activities, for the month of December. And as we look forward to so many issues affecting people around the globe, But the focus point this morning again is news update from Nigeria. I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Yes. Thank God for that. We thank God for every one of you who are tuned into you, listening, whatever it means that you are, trying to communicate with us or enjoying the program. We want to say thank you very, very much. Now, let's hop on quickly to yesterday's discussions. Well, I caught bits of it that's on the Niger Voices. I missed some bits there as well. But I want to find out from you, now, what was the perception in a whole pertaining to the question that was posed as to whether democracy is actually collapsed in Nigeria? What was the response that you got from the various people who were listening to the program?
Well, Niger Voices, comes up every Wednesday on Star Radio UK, and it's been a program that we brought in some 5 years ago to look at issues affecting Nigerians at home and also the diaspora Nigerians outside as well. And it's been, a very long process, coming up every Wednesday with different conversations. And as we have also added the conversation of those, campaigning for the self-determination. I went back into a particular, and this is what we discussed yesterday. I mean, the topic yesterday focused on Nigeria democracy, whether it is now fragile and it will allow the country to collapse, or it will become strong should there be a 2023 election next year. The argument has always been 3 points, which I picked up from the interview that was granted to Dr. Olisa Agbakoba. Is a Nigerian human rights activist, a maritime lawyer, and he was one time a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. He's 69 years old. He was born in 1953, just about 7 years before the Nigerian independence. So these are those that were given back to prior to independence. So they probably saw the Western region and the knew more a little bit about what the country was in a very good pathway after the old slave trade, the amalgamation, until some Nigerians fought tirelessly to get the independence from the British colony. And they would have thought that it would be a great country. And that was when we had this beautiful constitution that was given to us. That was also how we got the the regional government. The regional government is almost the same system like what we have in Wales, which is about 3 million population, compared to Osun State today that is locked in Nigeria, is southwest Nigeria, a Yoruba part that is about 4 million, with about local government to 30 local government, compared to about 20 with a 3 million population. I was given a background to what he said, because these are people that witnessed that 1993 election. I was in secondary school just about 2 years before completing my first secondary school when the 1993 election that was announced by the former military dictator Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. He granted this interview just about on the 20th of November, quite in details. We won't go into everything, but if you have missed that, go back to the Star Radio UK, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you do so, because that is also where you get up-to-date information. And the Twitter handle on Star Radio UK is Star Radio UK. Couple of points that just to summarize what we discussed yesterday. It was taken back to whether we've had any more free, fair election after the June 12th. Everybody that voted for the late Chief Abiola never voted for him because of his religion, never voted for him because of his ethnicity, never voted for him because of his own culture. And right there is the late Chief Abiola, well known around the globe up to it was one time asked whether it will become the Secretary General of the United Nations, that he actually turned down. But what we can say from that interview, which took us to whether we have human rights in Nigeria. There's no human rights in Nigeria. There's no rule of law, because the Nigerian politicians presently are almost operating like the military diktat, and that is why a lot of Nigerians are not enjoying the benefit. There is obvious a society where people don't obey court orders is a society that is destined for ruin, because what governs a society, no matter who you are, is the rule of law. The rule of law, it determines what the public does. If you do wrong, it doesn't matter how highly placed you are, you will obey the rule of law. Even in America, President Trump obeys rule of law, but in Nigeria, nobody obeys rule of law. It was also asked, why, the disobedience of court order. Again, it goes back to the strong concept of the rule of law. You need to have good leaders. And this has been the argument of some of the Nigerians to say that we can only have good leaders, and that will push Nigeria as one of the great countries. And that is Dr. Olisagbakoba right behind me. One more point before coming back to you in the studio. It was then asked, will it be appropriate to continue to describe Nigerian democracy as nascent? I haven't been practicing it for the past 23 years since 1999, even though there has been a lot of argument, especially with this document, the 1999 military diktat constitution. He said, and I quote, "It is correct to describe Nigerian democracy as fragile, very fragile. We have a long way from being a democratic nation. So we are very fragile." It can also means that it goes either way when we talk about the fragile of Nigeria today. This is Dr. Olisagbakoba, the senior advocate of Nigeria. Take note of what he said, Mr. Archie. He said, and I quote, "A fragile system is the type that can collapse any day." So that literally means that Nigerian can collapse anytime between now and the day he has actually given, which was 30 days from the day he granted his interview. So that means there's probability that Nigeria can collapse before December 20, if, according to what he has actually said. He said, "If I will not be shocked if 30 days from today," which was when he granted the interview, "Nigeria ceased to exist. I will not be shocked if tomorrow it ceased to exist, because it is a very fragile country. It is divided by three things: ethnic, religious, and linguistic problems. Those are the three major fault lines we have, and we have not kept faith with the central issues in our national anthem. Though tribe and tongues may differ, in unity we stand." So what the national anthem says is that we are different people, we are diverse in nature, but we can bring out our diversity, our differences in language and religion and ethnicity together to form a great association of Nigeria that we haven't achieved. So, to quote Chief Obafemi Awolowo, "Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. It is not yet a country." So we are hoping, according to Dr. Olisagbakoba, that the presidential candidate that wins the 2020 election will understand this issue. These are all what we've discussed yesterday on Niger Voices on Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Well, listeners, those of you who missed out, I made a bit of a breather there for you. And therefore, we want to encourage you, as Starr because he said, go to our social media platforms and go there. You can have a real listening to it. But before I come on that, we're not leaving that question or that story yet. Now, Prince Abimbola also they said, "Good morning from MD USA. Mr. Archie White Lion, thank you so much for being that we thank God that we are alive and in a new month. Thank you very much, and we pray that God keeps us as well." S.A. Larry Arebe also says, "Good morning, brothers." Okay, now let's look at one story, because now whilst you were discussing that yesterday, I was trying to go through some of the stories that was going on in Nigeria. But a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, has expressed his concerns over the political environment in Nigeria as the 2023 elections draw closer. Nigeria revealed that he has palpable fears about the outcome of the general election. He stated that while speaking at a colloquium organized by the Electoral Hub in Abuja on Wednesday, he, however, opined that Nigeria will pull through the current challenges. Now, if you take this, Yomi, and add it to what you have said so far, then it looks like some of the leaders of these political parties are burying their heads in the sand as if nothing is happening, everything is well. we are doing our campaign and everything is well. But some of the people, somebody who has entered the INEC before, saying that, look, I think trouble is brewing and we have to wake up. Now, what do you think?
Well, the headline that I've got here says, I have fears about possible outcome of 2023 poll, says, Jega. Who actually is he as well? Let's go back to history. He was born January 11, 1957. So when you look at Jega and Dr. Olisagbakoba that was born in 1953, they are almost the same, set of, Nigerians that were born in the 50s. Is currently, he was formerly the chairman of INEC himself, and is currently the vice chairman of Bayero University as well. While he was speaking, from what you said, which I've also picked up in front of me, the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atairu Jaga, yesterday has now expressed his concerns about happenings in the political space, saying he has a lot of fears about the outcome of the 2023 general election. Why are people having this fear about these, 2023 general election? And right there is, Professor Atairu Jaga, the former INEC chairman as well. He was actually mentioned in that interview that Olisagbakoba says, what gives Nigerians a bit of hope, in our conducting of election was after, Professor Atairu Jaga came on board, in one of the elections that he also conducted as a former INEC chairman, in that interview that was granted as well. But the problem has been that a lot of issues has been on the table. The former chancellor of the Bayero University, Kano, expressed optimism that the nation will pull through current challenges and have a successful poll. Jega stated this in an interview with a journalist, like you said, at the colloquium in the honor of the Senior Fellow Center Democracy Development, Professor Adele Jinodu, while celebrating his 79th birthday with the team Adele Jinodu and the Electoral Democracy in Nigeria, knowledge production. But we have seen that the government presently have not done as much as the expectation from the Nigerian perspective. A part of Nigerians believe that, again, looking at the way the system has been set up with INEC, some section of the country, especially the southeast, that might prefer a Peter Obi, because of so many Nigerians believe that the APC and the PDP have failed there. So, but the government, again, remember that even the APC chairman was a little bit skeptical in terms of the BVAS machine that will be put out there, should that be used to collate, live result from the polling center, that we were on the ground and we knew definitely that even to speak to some of our loved ones back home is a very, very difficult one. So how they'll be able to collate some of those results will be a very, very difficult question to ask. The question then is, 2023, how fragile is Nigeria? We will continue to monitor that, till then.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing it time now to 11:21, but we've got lots to bring your way in a short time. But let's move on. Now, yesterday, it was published that the police chief, let me bring his name and then add it to what you have put across as well, because it's quite an interesting one. The Nigerian Federal High Court has sentenced the Inspector General of Police, Osman Baba, to 3 months in prison for flouting the 2011 court order. According to local media reports, the IDP sentence followed a suit that was filed by a police officer, Patrick Okoli, who was unlawfully and compulsorily retired from the Nigerian Police Service. Now, let me put on straight. A Federal High Court sitting in Mina, the Niger State capital, has also ordered the Chief of Army Staff General Farouk Yahya, be arrested for contempt. Now, the two people that we can say that, well, they are the ones who can provide security for us, and we're going to be having an election. Both of them are different courts. Virtually charging them, for imprisonment and stuff like that. What is all that story about it?
Well, just as you said, Justice Alima Abdulmalik issued a warrant and presided over the case, says the order followed the notice that was brought before the court, the Niger State High Court civil procedure in 2018. The judge ruled that the order is commuting Yahya to be kept in Mina correlation custody. That is not going to happen. Everybody knows that. It's just a joke. And that is again the rule of law that the Dr. Lisa Bakoba was talking about. I mean, nobody will have that audacity to go and arrest the chief of army staff. We are talking about the chief of army staff of Nigeria. That is not going to happen. Are you talking about the inspector general of police to be taken away? Who is going to do that? Is the question. I mean, whoever has the guts to do such, that means that we are getting somewhere in Nigeria today. I mean, you will not even do so, and all they will say is they've not even seen that judgment. Even though we have seen those judgments, we are 5,000 miles away from Nigeria, but those in Abuja will tell you they've not even come across any such judgment. So it's just going to be a waste of time. And this is the more reason why are we seeing, the nepotism, in the system, when somebody like, Mazinam Dekano, has been asked to be, he's been acquitted, from all charges. And yet, the Nigerian system kept him there without any concern about, the system that is coming from the court. But in reverse, they've now asked them to go. I mean, this is where the DSS should go into action and, if not kidnap, or at least, put an arrest warrant and arrest this individual. But, Mazen and the Kanu with the legal team are still pushing to get him out of the DSS custody. These are the nepotism that have gone so long in what we call Nigeria today. And some of the reason why the indigenous people are saying, we can't just continue like this. Let us remember that, during the NSAS, more Nigerians were killed by the same military, and yet the system has failed everyone. So we will see how that is going to play out. But like I said, I can put a bet on it. Nobody there goes near to the IGP, not even talk about the Chief of Army Staff of Nigeria.
A friend of mine would say, lie, it never happened. It will never happen. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, the favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Does that mean that the rule of law in Nigeria is broken and there are people who are above the law? What do you think? Let us have your take on that. Maybe you think that, look, everything is taking very well, everything is going on smoothly. We're going to be having a very nice election, free and fair, so smooth, no fake thing going on. But what do you think? Let us know your take. It is Starr Radio UK up in the North London. This is because I'm actually here in the South. And let me now go back to Yomi for him to bring us more of the stories making the round. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, since the wife of the president has refused to at least for now release the young boy that was actually arrested and has also been kidnapped in a way, everybody have now said the wife of the president is fat, and if everybody has to be arrested, I would also have to be arrested as well. Let's look at this headline. Now, everyone calls Mrs. Buhari fat is the headline. At first, the story of the First Lady, Aisha Buhari, ordering the arrest and detention of a young man, 23 years old, final year student of a university, who had made fun of her physical appearance, seems imperishable. I insist to the person who shared the story with me that there had to be more to the account. There was no way Mrs. Buhari would be so small-minded that she would pay attention to a random guy on Twitter that had simply remarked that she had grown fat feeding on the masses' money. Days after the news was initially reported, neither Mrs. Buhari nor the Department of the State Services that allegedly went to the university campus to arrest the undergraduate denied their part in this ridiculous story. That means that they are as guilty as charged. Even more bewildering is the account of how the young man in question, Aminu Adamu, was first taken to the State House where he was allegedly tortured in the presence of Mrs. Buhari before he was incarcerated. I still can't fathom the devil that pushed Mrs. Buhari and DSS to go after a young man whose name you would otherwise not have known. We have always known the DSS, a government agency still mirrored in tactics of arrest and torture that earned them notoriety during the military era, has long lost its way. Arresting Adamu is indelible proof that they are not ready to get started on the path of self-redemption. So it seems now that everybody is now calling Mrs. Buhari a very fat woman eating so much money on the Nigerian masses.
Interesting. Now, whilst you were speaking, then I was making some notes. Now, the guy just said that she's been feeding on the masses' money, and that's why she's fat. Now, who is paying her? Is it not the state that is paying her? Is it not the masses' money that is being, given to her? For everything that she travels and everything. Is it not Nigeria and the people, tax money that's being used to fund her? So if somebody makes that statement, you have to go that way. Jesus.
Well, that is part of the rule of law in Nigeria, as we say. Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station. For scarcity, I've been looking at images coming out of Nigeria again, as more Nigerians are facing heavy queue, with the scarcity, and the price also is becoming unbearable for an average Nigerian. I actually got a video that was sent to me, and the young man said he was standing for 7 hours, and he's not even sure whether he will eventually get a petrol after getting closer to the pump. But it seems the NNPC is giving assurance to Nigerians this morning. For scarcity, no planned price hike, says the federal government. Queues spread as quickly as possible. There will be no fuel price hike during the Christmas period, says the government, and the MDPRA assures motorists current stock can last for 34 days. Government can't continue subsidy amid diversion, NNPC source. First, the first time in weeks since the scarcity of the premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, began, the federal government opened up and declared on Wednesday yesterday that there was no plan to increase the pump price of petrol, at least during the Christmas season. However, government comment came amid worsening and persisting fuel scarcity, which has spread quickly across the country, and we are now getting the price of that at about 285 naira per liter. Some are getting them at 300, and if you want it at black market, that means you have to cough about almost 500 naira in Lagos. But the government disclosed yesterday that there was fuel supply in stock that could last the country for at least 34 days. We hope the government will do the needful to the average Nigerians that are already going through so much pain already as well. Let's go through some of the other headline, and we can come back to you. Reps committee squeeze a jeep oil over tax evasion. Tax evasion is something that most countries around the world, especially big multinational organizations, try to avoid. We are still serious fighting corruption. This is coming from the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. With an all of society approach, Nigeria must shun the disaster of corruption, embrace honesty, unity to build a great country, because integrity and trustworthiness are vital attributes for success, according to the Vice President. And I hope that will start with the arrest of the Inspector General of Police, which the Vice President can intervene. I hope that would also be part of the Chief of Army Staff, which the Vice President can intervene and let the other person be the caretaker. Professor Osinbajo stated this at the official launch of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Integrity, Zero Tolerance, Manual for School Clubs, which was held at the Model Secondary School, Maitama, in Abuja yesterday. Professor Osinbajo noted the establishment of Integrity Club is a vital step in finally achieving this milestone in building of a future against the disaster of corruption. Corruption in this government is something that has gone, more than a balloon, but yet not the Vice President is able to stop the corruption under their nose. Let's go straight to some of the other headlines as we have it. Northwest APC woman promised Tinubu a massive vote. It looks like the Northwest is saying that Tinubu will get a lot of vote from them. Governor Sule promised to prioritize education in Nasarawa. Naira maintains value against the dollar, 445, according to what we have here. But in the black market, it's definitely more than that. And not an average Nigeria will get access to those, exchange rates as we have it as well. Ebonyi also decries Buhari regime's harsh treatment on lecturers, according to what we have. Also urged the Buhari regime to avoid engaging in any activity that could plunge the nation's public university system into another needless strike. The Academic Staff Union University, Alex Ekweme Federal University, in Ebonyi chapter has now slammed President Muhammadu Buhari's regime for his harsh treatment on lecturers. It seems that the union therefore appealed to stakeholders to prevail upon President Muhammadu Buhari's regime to avoid engaging in any activity that could plunge the nation's public university system into another needless strike. This was disclosed during a peaceful protest yesterday. We saw in Abia State yesterday where the women came out in protest for the holding of Nnamdi Kanu, as in the last almost a year now, Nnamdi Kanu is still in the custody of the Nigerian government, even though he has been acquitted of all charges. And yesterday, Abia camp, the mothers came out yesterday, to protest against, Nnamdi Kanu detention in the Nigerian custody. I'm going to take us straight to the social media, and then when we come back, we will then be able to review some of those issues as well. This morning, quite a lot is trending on the social media. Aisha Buhari is still trending. Resign is also popping up. I'm not sure who they're asking to resign, but we will look into that in just about a few minutes as well. Aisha Buhari is trending at about 53.4K tweet this morning. And now, some are now saying, Nigerian best first lady, retweet for Aisha Buhari, like for patient Jonathan. And as I speak to you right now, only 178 have retweet for Buhari, while 11,000 have liked for patient Jonathan. So it seems that more Nigerians prefer the former president's wife, patient Jonathan, as against Aisha Buhari. So let's take a look at what people are saying. Did Aisha Buhari spare Aminu? Did Aisha Buhari spare Aminu? Did Aisha Buhari spare Aminu because he's coming from the north? No, religion and religion only matters to you, the poor man. They only employ it when they want to use it. Neferati says, and I quote, Aminu is misguided. Rejoicing over Deborah's death shows he inherited a generation's age. Whether it changed for the better is entirely is akara and bread. That said, what is bad is bad. Two wrongs don't make it all right. Aisha Buhari was wrong. She has abused her privilege and position. Now let's take a look at Nigeria as a whole in terms of the conversation this morning on Starr Radio UK at 11:35, 1st of December 2020. Mr. Macaroni again. These are those who call themselves patriots today. Some of those who are in government now were advocates of civil war and anarchy some years ago. They are now in power. There's false scarcity everywhere. The people are suffering. If we talk, they call us enemies of Nigeria. And he was actually referring back to Bashir Ahmed, which is the current one of the social media handle for this government, that in 2012, he says on a tweet that I've got here, when the petrol was 65 naira, hashtag occupy Nigeria at 65 naira or continue protest, not peaceful, and then civil war. And you can now that since they are now in government, not much people are saying they are not doing much according to Macaroni. And the last one is coming from Reno Douala. Aminu Adamu was kidnapped from school, beaten, humiliated, tortured, and detained against his will. He has gone through emotional, mental, physical pain and is currently unable to prepare for his exam. All these crimes were perpetrated by the First Lady of Nigeria. Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And I come back to you now in the studio, Mr. Achi.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Lani Kwake in North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we are bringing updates from Nigeria. Now, a quick one before we go. I know that there are other commitments there. Now, has the presidency, has there been any response for Aisha Buhari's this detention of this young boy?
Well, they've not said much. They've actually kept quiet, and that shows, the guilty part of the government. If it was not in their favor, they would have probably come out to defend it. None of the media handle, from Garba Shehu to Femi Adesina, have come out to defend, this. But I'm sure they are preparing their cooked-up story before the weekend, and then probably we get something coming up on Monday. But the backlash, the backlash has been, very, very negative about the abuse of power by the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari.
Well, listeners are still ready. Okay, one more before we call it off. Now, journalists are seeking provision of adequate security. Is it for the elections, or like we just take a typical case of what this young man has just tweeted? There's an element of truth in there, but why are journalists calling for adequate protection?
Well, participating at the capacity building workshop on conflict and sensitive reporting and the 2023 general elections for working journalists in Kano State have stressed the need to ensure the safety of media professionals before, during, and after the election. So it is definitely, got to do with the election. The call was again contained in a communique that was issued ending one of the one-day workshop held at the 10 to 10 restaurant in Kano yesterday. The communique was signed by the chairman and the secretary drafting committee, Abubakar A. Dangabo and Hadiza Mohammed, respectively. The participants were drawn from the Independent National Electoral Commission, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and various media organizations in the state, resolved to work closely with all other relevant stakeholders to ensure free and fair and credible elections in 2023.
Well, we hope that they get the necessary protection that they need, because we know where the rule of law that doesn't actually work. Even if something happens and the court rules that the person should be compensated or the person should be released, as whether that's going to be happening, we're not very sure. But Yomi, before we go.
Well, we'll be back again same time tomorrow, where we continue to look and review all the news and the airlines coming out of Nigeria. Keep safe. Remember, that there is quite a lot going on in Nigeria as we speak. Yesterday, we got an information that a young man, again working with a VON, Voice of Nigeria, was actually kidnapped, and ransom has now been asked. He was on his way home. These actually took place in Lagos State. So that means now, and it's not the first time that, this is coming up. Nigerians need to be very, very vigilant in the surroundings. If you're not too sure of that particular Keke Marua or the Okada that is going to take you, why not just wait a little bit more for the next one so that you don't become a victim of kidnappers?
Oh my goodness. As we say on this platform, the first day of December, may Nigeria never happen to each and every one of us. Thank you, Yomi. Have a lovely day, and then we'll catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that was Mr. Olani Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It's now gone 20 minutes to the top of the hour. As I said, yes, it's going to be a very short.
Thank you so much. I haven't got much to say. We'll come back later for more conversation. I'm going to end the broadcast, but be expecting me later on when I come out for a proper conversation. Have a very good morning. Bye for now.